Hello, welcome to another episode of It's All Blakademik, and I'm still joined by my fantastic panel, Nick, Kirsty and Ray. We all good still?
All good.
Everybody's good and fantastic. And once again, just before we get into our debate today, we're going to just give you a shout out to all of our socials. Instagram, we're on It's All.Blakademik. We're on Facebook, It's All Blakademik. And our Twitter and YouTube handles are Blakademik TV, spelt like that with a K. So be very, very conscious of how we spell our Blakademik. Follow us on all of our socials and get involved. Right, let's get into our debate for today, guys. I want to talk to you guys about whether we as black people feel that racism has been used as almost a monetary currency for individuals and for companies. And I was thinking about this when there's this right-wing political commentator, Milo Yiannopoulos, who has pretty much made his career off the back of talking on behalf of the right. He has a book coming out, and some of the things he's been saying seem to be appealing to the left. And it made me think to myself, is this guy just like trying to make a career basically and just go to wherever the popularity is to try and make his name? And did he do that of trying to be a racist if he's not racist himself?
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Nick. Do you feel that if we start with companies first of all, do you feel that there are companies that brand themselves, advertise their services or products of trying to appeal to the emotions of people who feel a certain way about a particular race of people?
I do feel like we have to contextualize. We live in a capitalist society, and I feel like monetary value is the fundamental to livelihood, to prospering for some people, and it's the equator for a lot of different things. And I think companies they definitely do. I think Pepsi tried and they failed. Obviously, it wasn't as see-through as they didn't anticipate that. Most recently, Nike, definitely a thing where they were trying to get the black community on side, and I think their campaigns as of late are trying to be more culturally sensitive and culturally inclusive and stuff like that. There was a campaign that featured a lot of rappers in the UK recently that people heralded, and while I think it is a positive thing in terms of Kaepernick and what he's done in terms of that context and the advert that recently came out, I do know that some of Nike's profits, I think there was an article I was reading, have funded right-wing issue groups in terms of Congress and stuff like that. So I think it is very strategic, and there's very strategic conversations happening in the marketing departments and stuff like that of these companies. And I think it would be a disservice to not critique. And you can at the same time be happy for someone critique the system as to which it's existent in. And I think the black community have an issue with the critique, especially online in our echo chambers. They get very sensitive when you critique someone or a brand or a partnership. But I like to see all sides, and I definitely see Nike's strategic element in that campaign.
Well, the Nike campaign of the celebration of the 30th anniversary that they used Colin Kaepernick, the NFL player, as the forefront, as the face of that campaign, is something that I want to get to in just a little bit. But if we put that to one side for a moment, Ray, can you, first of all, do you feel that there are certain companies that do use the power of a furore to sell a product or a service? And if you do, can you think of any examples of people where you've thought, I know what's going on there?
Yeah. So I think for me, I've acknowledged that there are two sides to this coin, right? You have the side whereby companies are now aware that there is this social change happening, and they are looking at advantages and how to capitalize on this social change. And so they do what people want to see, not for the betterment of society, but to ensure that they get a profit in their companies. And this goes not just with campaigns, but also the likes of access schemes inside companies. So when you have things like, these groups of black people came in through this access scheme, we want more BAME people in our company, so let's recruit these people from underprivileged backgrounds so that we can be seen as having a lot of diversity, and therefore more people want to come and work with us. And the way they put it is, I've heard this many times, our clients are very diverse, and therefore we need diverse individuals. So that's why we will be recruiting from lower rank universities, or we will bring people on who may not have a lot of money at home, don't have daddy to fund their schools fees and stuff. And so they will bring these people in, and once they're in, you have to fend for yourself. You're in an environment whereby you don't understand the culture. No, you don't go skiing in Aspen every winter. So what kind of conversations can you have with your co-workers? And therefore there you see a sort of, there's a glass ceiling, because there's only so much that you can do. You won't be invited to the golf sessions, and because you probably never played golf in your life, and therefore you will leave. So they'll say that they have a lot of BAME and ethnic minorities and black people entering their fold, but they do not nurture them once they're there. And that to me 100%. Is blatant racism, because you are not interested in your workers, you're not interested in how people understand and how they can feel at home and whether they can be authentic in the workplace. You're just interested in the number game. You're interested in how it looks and how it appears. So I guess it's less about maybe the campaigns, but how intrinsic the idea of racism for capital is. It's, let's get these people in, use their time, they'll probably have a really crap time here, and then they'll leave, but we've used them to sell a product. When there's a meeting with people that look like them, we'll bring them onto that board meeting. They probably don't know what they're doing there. They probably, when they leave, they're just taking notes. They're not actively making a difference. But let's show your face so that we can show our clients
we've got black people.
We've got black people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's, on a day-to-day, that is how racists, I guess, or people, they probably don't even know that they're racist. They're just like, oh, let's bring in this person for capital, though. And I think that's where it's just abhorrent in my eyes.
See, Kirsty, Ray kind of talks to a kind of more, a lack of understanding from people who maybe are racist without even realising they are being racist. But if we kind of talk about maybe examples of people who knew what they were doing. So the first time I kind of clocked onto what was going on was the H&M advert that went out earlier this year with the hoodie, with the young black boy, with the monkey, and I think cheeky little monkey or something slogan written on it. There was a big outrage when that came out. And my thinking, and this was just me, my thinking was, hang on a minute. Those kind of campaigns and adverts go through a lot of people before they come out into the streets. Not one person in a meeting when that's been presented thought, maybe this isn't the way we should be going here. Not one person thought that. So my thinking is, well, if I'm being right and being cynical about that, they knew what they were doing and went with it. So then my next question is, well, what did they gain from that? There was a week or 2 weeks of Twitter furore, boycott H&M, but I'm a big believer in all press is good press. Do you know what I mean? And if my cynicism is correct, do you feel that some people are doing that, they know what they're doing, and in a way that maybe the people that we're talking about maybe don't even know they're being racist, but they're being racist? Do you feel that some people and companies actively do it because there's a financial benefit at the end of it?
I definitely feel like there are some companies that do that, because with the H&M situation, it just boggles my mind how it got past so many people. And kind of back to what you were saying about kind of BAME people in the workplace, where there are no black people, just no other BAME people at all that passed. And because I'm sure nobody would have said, oh yeah, that's fine. And that's what makes me think, okay, so you planned this then. Was it strategic? And the thing is, everybody was talking about H&M, everybody, but people decided, like, there was all this hoo-ha on social media and everybody hating them, and then 2 weeks later it blowed over. I haven't heard anything about H&M since. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's gone back to shopping there.
They have, they just don't speak about it.
And this is it, and they're not going to speak about it. I do feel like some brands, they must do it because they know that they're going to get a reaction. Dove has done things, similar things in the past as well.
More than once.
Yeah, exactly.
More than once over the years.
Sometimes they come and they give these apologies, but they're not really heartfelt. They're doing it again because they want to be seen they want to be seen as they're listening to people's outrage. They care about people, but they care about their image at the end of the day, and it is about sales. It is about making money. Yeah. And I just...
Can I just...
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say that I think journalism have the blueprint for this. Daily Mail, The Sun, hate clicks, monetization, has journalism's changed, and clicks matter more and stuff like that. And even in the branding industry as well, on the e-commerce side of things, clicks mean things, and people will click the link to get that story, to get that article. And I think the onus sometimes we have to bring it back to black people in some senses, in terms of where we place our support. And I think in some cases America is better, in some facets, in some situations America are better at using their influence as a collective. I think in the UK we're very quick to talk on Black Twitter about and in these spaces about let's cancel this, let's cancel that, and we don't cancel them. Do we follow through with it?
Nothing's ever cancelled.
So I want to get to that as well, and what we meant to do when these things happen in just a little bit as well. Can we think of any individuals that maybe have made their career off of being racist or off of
Casey Hopkins?
Bring it.
Oh.
Who else? There is
Piers Morgan. He's got his whole daytime show. He went full circle, didn't he? He went to the States, had his little show there, then came back here. Now he's got daytime, primetime news, and I think it's
because we're still giving them
we're still
the
giving
limelight.
them, yeah, we're still giving them the limelight.
So what are they doing that you feel is racist?
Casey Hopkins just existing, really.
Just her being alive.
Speaking about issues with asking the obvious kind of questions and having the black person or the minority person in whatever issue it is there, and asking them specific questions to trigger them, specific questions which they know the answer to, specific questions where they know there's nuance, but asking the blanket kind of question which will cause outrage online or outrage in the dinner table, breakfast rooms, whatever. Piers Morgan does it perfectly. Like, he knows what he's doing, and every single time we cap into that, he takes a topic, he unpicks it, and then he just asks the stereotypical, the ignorant question, which will appeal to right wing or kind of almost centre right appealing people. And then a lot of people are quiet right wingers right now because it's not cool in some spaces on the blanket term to be right wing, so he appeals to that. But the mass numbers of the country, which is why Labour won't win right now, is because they are right wing or have right wing kind of views.
I think it's all about inciting black rage at the end of the day. They know exactly what they're doing, they know exactly what they're saying. They're all blocked on my socials, I don't see them.
But people still talk about that.
So let me just kind of pick up on this. So if we go back to Katie Hopkins, what for me, this might sound a bit weird, but what for me is more interesting isn't so much is she racist, it's does she believe what she's saying? Because one thing if you're saying these things and you genuinely believe it, but do you think she's actually racist? You
know what, the world, to me, like the world, Google is free. There are like Wi-Fi hotspots in everywhere around London. So to be ignorant is your own choosing in the world that we live in today. You cannot jump to ignorance as your, oh, I didn't know, as an excuse now. You have the resources to learn.
I don't know. So what I mean is more than I'm going further than that. Do we think someone like Katie Hopkins
actually racist, or is
she not racist, but she's just got this persona because it's making her money?
Probably a mix of both.
Yeah,
I think
she probably is.
She knows the reaction.
Racist.
The Muslim
she knows that it's
definitely
probably wrong.
Yeah.
But she still wants to believe it because she's a middle class white woman, and it makes her pop. It gives her the views, it gives her the reactions that she needs, it keeps her relevant, it gives her shows, it gives her all, it gives her a column, so it gives her all of these things. So why would she stop?
Makes her money. Her being racist makes her money, and people still talk about her. People still retweet her on my timeline. Oh, I can't believe you said this.
And I think to me,
stop talking about her now.
It's less about her and more about the platforms that allow her to speak.
100%.
So
yes,
we are gunning for her, but really,
let's look at the platforms.
Let's look at the platforms that are giving her a space.
And allowing this to continue.
Twitter went on a voyage of blocking so many abusive accounts, but these accounts they deem to be okay. You know, these like platforms, these websites and articles, and they give her this space. She's a one person. She does not have that much strength, if not for the corporations and the platforms that she sits on. Those are the people that need to be attacked.
Like Grace said, I think it's very interesting. I think the conversation about right-wing people that benefit from like rage is important, and I think it should go on. But I think what's more interesting to me, which I've in the last couple of weeks, which has come full circle for me, is within our activism spaces, the liberal kind of spaces, who kind of does a thread kind of culture to kind of get more capital as well. I think there are definitely people in the liberal spaces that know exactly what they're doing, the right statements to say, and I don't think they are as genuine as they make out. There's so many people that flip-flop or who have flip-flopped, and it's interesting just to see them say certain things which they know will get traction, or support certain people in the moment because they know it will get traction. So the right wing, we can see the beast and we can tell our friends about that, but it's kind of the people that infiltrate the circles, even the Russian thing, the Russian accounts and all that kind of stuff where they try to pit us against each other almost. I think that's a more nuanced discussion as well.
So if we come back to Colin Kaepernick, Nike, because I think that is an interesting isolated case, because when I noticed that when Nike announced that he was the face of their campaign, I noticed from a lot of black people that I know and work with, the general feeling was that this was a really good thing Nike were doing.
100%.
It was like, wow, Nike are backing this guy. The whole that day we saw people burning their trainers and all that sort of stuff. And Nike stood for, I don't know why you burn your trainers. I just don't buy this.
You paid for that.
We already bought them, so
just wear them, you know what I mean? Like, I'll throw them away. But they were the narrative was Nike are standing firm despite the fact that, you know, Middle America doesn't like what's going on here. And I think the first 2 days there was a drop off in their sales before it went up again. And then I've kind of thought, because I'm quite a cynical person by nature,
Same.
that's just me. I kind of just thought, hang on a minute. They've done this before with other athletes before and jumped on a social narrative. And it's important to note that they were paying Colin Kaepernick 2 years before this campaign. So they were paying and supporting him. So let's be fair. But do you feel, you said earlier on, that it was a win-win for them? We look socially good, we're Nike, but also we're going to make some money off this as well. Now, which of those two do you think they lent towards more?
Do you know what?
Benefited from more?
Nike is a multi-million, like, dollar, pounds, whatever company. Like, it exists in the capitalist structure. You can't remove it from that. There's definitely a monetary value to be gained from supporting social movements, and we've seen them progressively shift over the last few years to kind of support social movements. I'm not saying that there's not a positive. Colin, I'm so glad for him that, like, he was able to still gain income because he does so much for the community, and he will be remembered in history. He will, definitely. And I think this Nike advert and just the part of him being the face of it will be remembered in history too, just because, wow, Nike stood up for that. And I think in some senses it is in some contexts it is brave to do that, I guess, but then I think they knew, or they accounted for these risks. They probably knew that Middle America, they knew America's you can feel the energy in the air. So I definitely think they knew this would happen, but they knew eventually the sales, they had predictors in, they had all stats in, all that kind of stuff. They knew
short-term loss for long-term gain.
And as you said, you know, all press is good press or whatever. But I think there's definitely that element in there of the monetary, and I think that's what I just like nuanced conversation. So I think we can still praise Kaepernick, but we can still say Nike definitely were thinking to some extent monetary. And it is 2 years, you know, they have been paying him for 2 years, but they still could have made that move 2 years ago and been like, let's just inch our way, feel it out, pay him first, and then maybe a campaign if we feel the time's right, and all that kind of stuff.
I think the question is, what do you want? What is more important to you? At the end of the day, that
was my next question. You're going to
Sorry.
ask. No. I like how you're thinking. That was my next question.
Is it the social aspect of it, in terms of they're standing up for somebody that America and loads of white people hate,
Trump,
or is it the money that they're making? As you said, we cannot go like we. This is our structure now. Like, we live in a capitalist company, in a capitalist world. Sorry, and even I mean, I always go back to the feminist movement. You have now people who monetize feminism and the ideology. You have tops saying I'm a feminist, and people are buying these things. And so what is more important to you? Is it the message going out into the world, or is it the monetary value that will inevitably follow it? And I think that's when everybody needs to decide for themselves.
And what do you think? Would you rather Colin Kaepernick was supported by Nike, even though Nike's motives may be a little bit questionable, or Nike didn't jump on the bandwagon and didn't support Colin Kaepernick? I think
the bandwagon will always be there, because it will always be like a train and someone's going to jump off. Exactly. And so for me, I think the representation, the message is more important. And also, a brother got his bag. Like, Do you know what
I'm glad he's still getting, you know, yeah, that's what,
so
yeah.
if you are not putting something out there negative and it's not affecting the world in a negative view and you're doing something positive, the money, that aspect, as horrid as it might sound, we don't know, well, we probably do know Nike's motives, but the overall, the consequence of it, I loved it when I saw people, white people burning their
I was laughing on IG, like I was laughing on IG.
Retweet, because it's important that, you know what, you're angry, but this is good. Yeah. This is a good thing.
Because we're always angry by these brands as well. So yeah, it's true.
So I think everybody needs to understand for themselves what means more to you. Is the fact that their motive is bad, or is it the consequence that comes out in the world? I think that's more important.
So let me just wrap up, guys. I'll ask all three of you, but I'll start with you, Kirsty. So what should be, and I accept not one homogenous group of people, black people, but what would you suggest is the correct way of dealing with this? If we agree that there are people and companies that are monetizing racism, are we better off, as we're doing, I think, right now, calling it out, you know, shouting them down and letting them know, we know what you're doing, we're not accepting it, we're going to stop buying your products, whatever. Or just be quiet and just not give them the attention, the press that they want, because that seems to be what they want. What would you do? What's your reaction to these things?
I think it is difficult because on one hand, you don't want to keep on giving these brands that have racist motives your voice. You don't want to keep on putting them out. You don't want to keep on talking about them on social media because it's going to make them trends. Then more people are going to buy from them, or they're going to see that they're popping. It is difficult because you do want to call out, when you see racism in any capacity, you want to call it out. Well, that's how I personally feel anyways. If I see it, I want to speak about it. So I think there needs to be a balance. I think we can't cancel everything. If we cancelled everything that had racism, we cancel the world.
We'd be in the desert,
do you know what I mean? We probably wouldn't be in this building. We wouldn't, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's difficult to say, oh, let's cancel everybody that does everything. But we do need to sit there and do have a think about the motives that these people have and be realistic with ourselves. And
And do we also think that white people have a role to play in this as well, in that it's all well and good us not going to H&M or us not buying whatever product, but there's more white people than black people. If the white people that align with black people in the fight against racism are genuine, do they have a role to play and say, well, you guys need to stop buying these things as well? If you believe that what's happening is wrong, you guys too, or do you think this is the fight that we have to solve?
Do you know what? I think no one's going to care for us more than ourselves, and I think white allies are great, and I think in some places necessary. Obviously, if we do want to get to that goal, it is necessary. But I think that, would they really stop? If some of us aren't even not shopping and still shopping in H&M, still buying shea butter, all that kind of stuff, would they even take the step to do that? I don't know in practicality sense, would they? But to answer your larger question, I think it's about the individuals that align with these companies. I think there is a difference between Pepsi and what Nike did. There is a complete difference. And I think with Colin Kaepernick and Nike, I think there's room to negotiate in contracts and stuff, which he probably hasn't. He's using the money. It's indirect because he's going to use the money to support the community. He puts millions every kind of month or whatever to different establishments. So I think it's about putting clauses in these contracts for them to actually support the communities to which they are trying to convey on the adverts to get the monetized value of their kind of campaign. I think it's up to us as influencers, as people in the industries, and it shouldn't have to be up to us. The companies should just have that in that ethos, and it should be in an idealistic sense, the companies. But capitalist society, motives, all of that, we have to kind of negotiate in our contracts. The people that care anyway, that there's something that they do for the community, or there's something they do for the cause that which they're trying to monetize off of. That's the thing which I think can combat both of this inevitable train of capitalism and monetization, and the figure in there that's going to represent us. You know, Serena's done a great job of it. Colin is doing an indirect great job of it. You know, Jesse is doing a great job of it. There's so many people who have navigated that space well. So I think there is room to find a sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay, and what's going to be your response the next time? Because there will be another time where some company does something that gets another.
Probably today.
I think you need to judge it on a case-by-case basis. I think Pepsi, as you said, blatant, everyone saw exactly what they were trying to do. So in that sense, do speak out because we see it. Nike, for instance, I've seen them work with Serena Williams, and once, I think when Serena got banned from wearing a cat suit.
Recently in
yeah,
France,
she
yeah, they
ended up
supported
wearing-
that.
yeah,
They
supported
tweeted
that.
that.
Get back to her, they did.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they posted a picture of her wearing a tutu. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I saw that.
I think we can see, and black people understand, and they can see these things,
Mm-hmm.
and we understand. But it gets quite exhausting sometimes for people when you see all these things all the time. That's why sometimes I just choose to not. And I think it's great for us black people to. They want to monetize our rage, but we're the ones that actually feel it. And so we need to be really understanding of our own mental health and understand that, okay, you don't have to, not all the
Self-care.
time. Like, it's not all the time. Like, it's okay to just...
We have to protect
Exactly.
ourselves.
Sometimes you just watch Netflix, have a laugh,
Precisely,
you
yeah,
know.
and-
Self-care is key.
Yeah.
Like, just ignore some
Yeah,
of the
so
stuff.
I think that would be
There'll
great.
always be
But
someone
I think you
shouting.
mentioned about allies. I think having white allies is great, but my only fear with white allies is they end up taking the space that we should have. So I think to white allies, I always say it's great that you're for our cause, but you have a platform, get off that bench and let us sit on it.
Stay off the
Do you know what I
background,
mean?
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
And on that note, Ray, Kirsty, and Nick, thanks for joining me on this week's It's All Blakademik. Nice one, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.